I'm Ryan Milton from Team Flex, and today we're going to dive into a fit model competition. We're going to look at our class winners from an NPC event that has just taken place, and we're going to talk a lot about the criteria, the placings, why they landed the way they did, and what it means for you as a fit model competitor out there, or somebody considering it, or a coach trying to coach for it, to get a better insight into this division. I know there's a lot of you watching trying to figure these things out. Well, I'm breaking it down for you. We're going to talk all about it, and if you're new here, subscribe, hang out. I do this all the time. I'm doing a lot of these reviews. I'll keep you up to date on fit model content. Every competition that's happening, you can expect to see it on this channel. All right, let's get down to it. So this is NPC Fitworld. Just took place, fit model division, obviously still rolling out. We have a little bit of small classes going on, as I've stated in some former videos. So actually what you're looking at here are three different class winners. This is class A winner here, Jasmine, class B winner here, Athena, and class C winner here, Gabriella. So this means they are the only ones in their class. There are no other competitors in their classes. And that's kind of how it's going to go right now. In the beginning of Fit Model, this new division, we talked about that a bit on this channel. Competitor numbers are not, humongous. There is the one class at this event that contains 5, so we're going to review that more in depth here later on in the video, but we're going to talk about all the class winners. And I just want to say to this, because a lot of you out there that are like, looking at this, you might be like, class contains 1. I mean, why would I even compete then? Well, here's the truth, okay? Each one of these 3 ladies you see on the screen here are the only one to, in fact, make it through their prep to the competition to then show up and get their award. It is not up to anybody on stage who else shows up, who's going to be there, how many are in your class, so on and so forth. And, this is why I tell my competitors in the times that maybe these things would happen, which right now, is a case for Fit Model. You should expect that, hey, maybe you'll be 1 in your class, maybe you'll be 1 of 3, maybe, you might get a class that's a little bit bigger, but right now, it's just not happening a lot, and it doesn't take away from your prep at all. It doesn't take away from your ability to have been the only competitor to actually show up, right? So that is very relevant, very valid, very, either way, if you compete and you do your prep and you show up, hey, it doesn't matter what anybody else does, how many others are in your class, so on and so forth. Now, with that, does that always mean the criteria is going to look 100% the same? No, because, obviously if you're the only one in your class, you win by default because you are the one that's there, nobody else to compete against, nobody else to do better than you in that grouping. So, you by default win your class. Doesn't mean that criteria is always going to look identical, but we still need to follow, suit with doing these reviews and looking at how things are actually unfolding on stage to give you all better insight. And we do still, of course, get to have all 3 of these ladies compared to the overall winner, which is not contained in this group, to get a better insight into exact fit model criteria. So let's just recap and cover these women here in this group and go over that so you have a better insight. So I would say everybody in this lineup has a fit model-esque look for sure. I do think that Jasmine here, a Class A winner, may have a little bit too much upper body muscle going on. That could be a factor. She also does have a considerable amount of lower body muscle going on. So she wins the class by default because she's the only one in this class, does not win overall. We'll see the overall winner shortly here. But for her, it is pushing the muscle envelope of Fit Model, but this is one of those athletes that you're going to see on stage that, may not exactly perfectly follow the criteria, so to speak, but due to show size, so on and so forth, they are still going to end up, being examples of high placings. So she's definitely got a good shape overall. I would say probably bring down the shoulders over time, bring down the legs a little bit more over time because, this is some dense muscle down here for Fit Model at this point based on what we've seen so far. A little bit of thickness through the midsection here, maybe narrow that in a little bit more. That's going to be a little bit more of a Fit Model-esque look for what we're seeing criteria develop as it sits. Overall though, great physique, great representation of criteria as it sits and what you could actually expect to be seeing on stage as a competitor in Fit Model. So either way, locks that down. Just giving further feedback for all of you watching to hopefully give you better insight into your own prep. Over here, Athena, a lot of the same things. So probably in a better spot as far as shoulder goes. Posing tweaks, I'd suggest making some of those, overall. But we see, I've said it on this channel many times, Fit Model's a wild, wild west right now. You're seeing a lot of different physiques play out, a lot of different posings play out, a lot of different suits, a lot of difference, because it's a new division and everybody's going to bring what they want to stage, which is what you should be doing. You should bring what you believe is going to be best to stage. You watch my channel, hopefully gain better insights, but bring your own best Fit Model look, and you're going to win every single time. Okay. So for her, good taper into the waist. Wow, that line just got a little crazy, but very indicative of the criteria overall. Better balance in the lower body here, but again, more of a muscled look, I would say, overall for her. We'll have to see, overall how these three stack up. There's no way to know how they really land in the overall placings wise. But again, she does win her class by default, being the only one in there. Now looking over here at Gabriella. Again, pretty similar to what we're going to see on stages. A little bit more of a muscle dominant look, I would say. Bringing in the waist some more could be good. The lower body seems to be at correct shape. Let's go to the back for all of these this group here, because I always say the back tells the full story. Crazy enough, by the way, my viewers here, crazy enough, there is not very many photos at this event of the competitors actually in their pose. I don't know what that is about, but I did the best I could to pick the back pose. It seemed the back poses, some of them just were not getting hit. So that's why we have some of this going on, which is obviously not a great way to give criteria, but I still have to give you all insight into what's happening on stage, give you better ideas. And this does kind of summarize it a bit either way, for the division. Plus, this could be a factor. You could go compete and your shots don't come out 100% perfect in the back pose. I've seen that. I've seen it in the front pose. I've seen it. Sometimes it's blurry. Sometimes, it's like, what happened? It's just part of the sport. So, for the accuracy of keeping it real with you, we're going to keep the review rolling. Let's go. Here we go. So looking here, we can't really get a good insight into the shoulder size here, but again, you do see a little bit of that. This is obviously not in pose. Taper to the waist looks good. Lower body looks good overall for this division. Maybe, again, just a tad bit too much muscle, I would say. Looking over here, we see a lot of the similarities. So shoulder size, maybe a little bit too much. Could probably taper in the waist a bit more. Glutes need probably a little bit more. Granted, not in pose, so we don't know, but it might need a little bit more upper fullness, overall fullness here. The quads and the hamstrings look a little bit dominant to me compared to glutes. Gabriella over here, overall good shape in the shoulders, probably on par with where we would want to see in Fit Model, at least from the back pose, tapers in at the waist. Lower body here, glutes look a little bit dominant, so a little bit of a different factor, right, where maybe there's too much glute muscle going on here compared to the quads and the hamstrings, a bit better balance. And keep in mind, this is not a class. These are 3 class winners compared side by side. So this is not to say, oh, Jasmine won over. Nope, not really, because this is, again, class winners. So, we skim that one a little bit faster because, again, we don't have a lot to review. There's not a lot of comparators to look at there. By the way, if you're enjoying this and you want better insight into your physique, go do my free trial. Okay, it's a 7-day free coaching trial. You can train with me free for 7 days. Fit Model, whatever you want to do, bikini, whatever it is. I don't know. I'll tell you. Come on into my app. You get to set up, your consultation. You do all this cool stuff where you fill out a form. You get into my app. You get into my exact training platform that I'm putting my Fit Model competitors through, my bikini competitors, my wellness competitors, any of our clients. They're trained via our app. You get access to it free for 7 days. You get to work with me as your coach free for 7 days. So very exciting. If you are having a hard time figuring out where your physique fits, what you need to be focused on, what you need to be doing, how you are going to bring your best look to stage, all things I can fix. Or if you have just general questions, you get me as your coach free for 7 days. So check that out. Link is in the description. All right. Let's take a look now. So this is our class D. So this is our only class that contained more than one competitor at this event out of the open classes. And this class contains 5. So we'll look at all 5 competitors and we'll go over it. This is our open, our overall winner, I should say. Our overall winner here, Masha, and she is the winner of the overall. So she basically wins the whole show, the whole look, all those class winners we just saw. She defeated them in that lineup and won the overall. Over here we have second place Tori. Over here we have third place Michaela. Okay, so let's take a look at really the only class that has a little bit more of a comparison for us to be able to actually determine where judges are heading. So if we look here, Masha, she has, maybe a little bit more shoulders than we have seen on some of the other Fit Model winners. This, again, seems to be an event where maybe there was just more shoulder size involved. Again, like I said, wild, wild west of Fit Model. Just because you see a little bit more shoulders at an event here and there, it doesn't mean you got to go build your shoulders. This is going to happen. If we really look at her physique, though, she has the most, kind of dramatic taper into the waist here and the best symmetry in the lower body where the muscles are not over dominant. She doesn't have a lot of, size going on in the quads and glutes from the front, at least in this angle. So realistically, maybe she was a tad over in the shoulder, still wins this class and wins the show because she's not the most, over muscled, all this and that. Our other class winners looked much more muscular than her. As we know, Fit Model is about, having the size, the symmetry to the degree you need it for this division. It's definitely not about overdoing it. It's definitely not about having a lot of muscle, and it's also not about being too lean, which her condition is probably, we'll see as we go, but the softest out of the group, in a lot of ways. So she definitely has a softer level of conditioning, a little bit of lines here and there, but not much. This is on par with criteria, this division, where things are heading. If we look over at Tori, we've reviewed Tori a bit already. She's done several competitions now that I've reviewed. She does tend to be still shoulder forward, in my opinion. I think she has a lot of shoulder. She has a lot of muscle overall in the lower body and, the glutes. A little bit tighter in the waist too, so very narrow there, but maybe too lean. It's another, I think I've seen her in second at several events, just going off of my memory here. So really a little bit more muscle, a little bit leaner is not winning these classes. It seems to be, as we get bigger, we get leaner in Fit Model, we move down in placings over time. So, she may be changing her look as we go. I do feel like her upper body looks a little bit less dominant at this point. Lower body still maybe has a little too much muscle or maybe a tad too lean. Who knows? We'll see how things go if she continues to compete at these, which I'm sure she will because we've seen her at several. Looking over here at Michaela. So Michaela, could talk about changing the posing a bit. Again, Fit Model, Wild West. Posing is going to be a little bit everywhere. That's all right. That's good. Bring what you want as far as your poses go within criteria. Get feedback, adjust based on that. Definitely a shoulder dominant look for her. You can see just that shoulder size there, a bit more squared off, so we don't have as much of a taper. And then her lower body does definitely look pretty muscular, right? So a lot of size in the quads here. So again, more muscular, more shoulders, places lower, third place in this class as we move through. Again, it's like I'm beating a dead horse in a lot of ways with my Fit Model reviews, but I have to keep doing it because competitors keep losing it. They're very confused on, how lean they need to be, how muscular, how this and that. Like, if you don't know these things, do the free trial. Please do it. Pull it up right now. Grab your phone. I know you got your phone somewhere. Type in teamfflex.com/7-day free trial. 7-day trial, actually. It might not be free. 7-day trial. And then go over there, put your email in. We'll see you on the other side because I can tell you in minutes, where you belong, what you need to focus on, what you need to do. All right. So this is the back. This is, again, the top three in this class. So our overall winner, Masha here. Tori over here in second, and then Michaela over here in third. Again, can't nail the poses perfect in these shots because there was none. So we'll do the best we can do. Got to go through it. So Masha here definitely, has a little bit of a glute dominant look, but I would say overall this fits criteria based on the other competitors at the show for sure. Makes total sense based on our other class winners, how she wins the overall, and that is some of what we're just going to see in this division. So she does have a tad bit more shoulders than we've seen in really any other Fit Model winners, right? When you start to see this rear delt from the back and that lateral delt, that's a little too much. So she still is the most complete on stage, can win this class, can win the overall for sure, but each event is different, which is why you should look at all this stuff and gain better insight into your own preps, into what you need to be doing, but not trying to look like any one winner because there's going to be many, many different looks. At this event alone, we have literally 4 different classes, 4 different very different looks based on attendance, based on who else was there, so on and so forth. Lower body wise, this glute structure seems to be on point, maybe a tad too hard in the tie-in, I would say, right, for this division, what we've seen and what the notes state. But again, the most complete on the stage, so that's where you get that win in that overall. For her, though, maybe bringing just that tie-in down a tad, a little bit softer, not bringing it through as much. That's probably an advantage moving forward for her. Overall, though, complete look, that's a Fit Model look. Over here, Tori. So Tori definitely has, you know, that shoulder size and that shape that we talked about. Tapers in well here. Overall, lower body seems to be in a pretty good spot for her. I think it just continues to be that her, you know, upper body's a bit too dominant, and then also she tends to come in a bit leaner. Like her tie-in is more exposed as far as what we can see, glute and hamstring, you know, development here overall than, you know, really anybody else in the lineup. So that's, again, a factor that you'll want to pay attention to as you go. Michaela over here didn't get a direct shot, so can't really see how her shoulders stack up. Lower body-wise, though, is pretty, you know, muscular, pretty big, pretty lean. Again, she's not even in her pose all the way, so it probably looks more dramatic. It looks pretty lean from here, though, so it definitely probably looked even leaner in pose. Now, let's look at the last group here. We'll leave Masha in the middle, okay, because she's the winner. And then we have our fourth Bailey over here and our fifth Christina, okay? So a little bit better insight into where criteria can go and sway and move and do all those things, right? That's Fit Model right now. Wild, Wild West. Say it with me. Comment Wild, Wild West if you're a Fit Model competitor right now. Okay, so Bailey, you know, Bailey has, you know, just an overall good shape for it. I would say she's pretty symmetrical. It seems to make sense. Ties in well here. Maybe a little bit rib forward. This can be an indicator of being lean. She is pretty lean. We start to see separation in the glutes and the quads here. Maybe a tad too lean. We'll have to see how the back looks when we get there from the front. It's hard to see. It's not showing the most shape from that front pose of choice at that point. And over here, Christina, a little bit of a different effect. She definitely has a lot of muscle in the shoulders and, you know, tapers in the waist well, everything here, lower body wise. Pretty soft in this conditioning, maybe too soft at this point for the division, which we will run into some of that as well, right? Some athletes are coming in more lean, some are coming a little softer, maybe just a little bit softer for her in this group, but also she does look pretty shoulder dominant in the lineup, considering like this is first and fifth, you know, that's a pretty different look overall. So important to note, but we get the full story from the back. And, you know, again, unfortunately, and I hate to keep saying it, but this is the reality of being a competitor in the Fit Model world. And, you know, any event can have this happen where the photos did not line again. So we don't really have a good back pose on Bailey or a really good one on Christina, but I can tell you just from looking at this as a coach who coaches, you know, many competitors for years and years and years, I can tell you the difference on a physique. And realistically, these are two athletes that are softer in general, right? A little bit softer from the back, in the glutes and the hamstrings, and same over here. So a little bit too soft for the way that the division wanted to go with this at that effect. We can't really make much comment on the upper body at this point because it's not in pose from the back, so harder to know. Overall, though, you know, there's going to be the fact that judges are going to go with the best on stage based on that day, based on that group. And it is a pretty different look, you know, between our four class winners and then even down into our fourth, fifth of the open class, which is the only class to contain that many competitors. So Fit Model is wild, wild west, but hopefully you learned these things at least today. You know, don't bring too lean of a look in. Do not be too shoulder dominant. Do not have too much muscle overall, and also don't come too soft. These are all things you know, to consider on your prep, where you line up and where you're at. And also remember too, if you are going to compete and you are going to be the only one in your class, you're still win. That's still a great job. You're the only one that made it through that prep. You're the only one that showed up. You deserve it no matter what. You know, I will tell you that people can say whatever they want about that. Oh, there was nobody to compete against, so it doesn't count. You're the only one that made it. You already beat everybody else. That's what that means, right? If they didn't show up, they weren't there because they didn't make it, and then you did. So that's it. That's all I got to say, folks. Hopefully you check out my trial. You hang out with me. Let me know what you think of the current state of Fit Model. Do you want more Fit Model? Let me know, and we'll bring it. Thanks for watching. Coach Ryan is out.